Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Hey, I want to give all praises to my Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh, by Yeshem, Yahweh Shai, by Yeshem Kahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders that were well. Peace and many salutations to Yaakov that's toiling in his truth. Now, I seen this right here. Well, actually, let me refine that. I was watching this live stream of Trump's big announcement on military action against Iran. And as I was watching this, I came across uh, some comments that were very interesting. If they got them up, hopefully they do. Hopefully they still got them up, man. I found very interesting that I want to bring out. If it's not here, then I'll just have to just relay it to you guys. Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully they didn't take it down. Yeah, they took it down. So this live stream that was going on, um, there was just one. There was this guy making comments that was pertaining to you know uh, you know Islam and the truth, Hebrew Israelites, and he's making comments that was kind of mixing the two doctrine. He was calling people on the live stream, um, Edomites, but yet he was quoting the Quran, and they ended up taking it down. I wish they would have let it on there, but I was thinking to myself, that's more than likely a bot, and I don't think it's coincidence that you know all this is going on, yet they're still throwing you know that those two uh well, I should say that doctrine, that false doctrine, you know, in the midst of things, because they're trying to link us to Islam extremism. Okay, and so as these things get more and more heated, what one thing that Esau either can always bank on is so-called black fear, y'all. That's why a lot of these people who supposedly carrying out these terroristic threats, they're so-called black, whether it be from Africa or whether it be from people over here, because Esau Edom needs a villain so he could manufacture himself as the hero, right? And it's spiritual that, you know, Esau Edom has always depicted, well, I can't say always, but depicts us as that villain, okay? And it's something that's spiritual, all right? Because Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Alluding to second Esdras 6-9. Shalom Yahweh Khan. All right. So as things get worse right here, Esau Edom is going to use his media as a way to, depict us as, homeborn terrorists. Okay. And it's something that we have to internalize for ourselves individually, lest you get offended, bro. And you can't get offended. Okay. It's something that's a reality, bro. Okay. It's something that's a reality. But that's why it's so important to not worry about these people's opinions in this world, man. Because if you worry about being, how you look, your life in this world, you'll be offended. And that's just straight up. Okay? That's just straight up. Okay, so let's get to the first one. I just had two on this topic, and again, if you're just following us, I was speaking on this live show here, and someone, I believe it was a bot, was mixing our doctrine with Islam, and calling people on the common board Edomites, yet quoting the Quran, the Quran, which we know that they're trying to link us to um, Islamic extremists. This is something that vocab alone has been trying to do for the longest. Okay, and uh, talking point, you know, is going to be seen more and more as the days progress. Okay, so understanding that, guess what, this is the will of the Heavenly Father. All right, so we can't get offended. Okay, now this is Matthew 10, and I started 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. So we're going to be brought up, you know, toward the magistrates and towards, some brothers are going to be brought up to Congress. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we're going to speak the words of Yahweh Shah. Look, this is what it is. This place is going to be destroyed. You know, before it's destroyed, guess what? It's going to be wars and rumors of wars. It's going to be a great war in which Babylon the Great is going to lose. In the midst of uh, the warring, Yahweh Shah, who were ignorantly caused Jesus Christ, is going to return, right? And upon him returning, he's going to say the elect of the nation of Israel, which consists of so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, also foreign Israelites, right? Right, the great multitude, right? And he's going to subdue the kingdoms. Babylon the Great, aka America, will be no more. The other nations that have, these grand plans of setting themselves up in a new world order, right? In a digital age, that will come to naught. But Yahweh shall reign, right? And within him reigning, the throne of King David will reign. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Okay. Now, how we say it, the manner we say it, what we say, you know what I'm saying? What we speak on, hey, that's yet to be seen. But guess what? It has to happen. Okay. This has to go down. All right. The GMS salvation of the elect. Shalom put 2 Timothy 3 and 12. Indeed, all who delight in pursuing righteousness and are determined to live godly, live in Yahweh Shai, will be hunted and persecuted because of their faith. And he brought this out in the AMP. We have to internalize this, bro, for ourselves, not for anybody else, but for ourselves. Well, actually, I take that back. For the elect's sake, we have to be example for one another, no matter what that rank is. It ain't about rank. It's about being an example. You can have a brother that is relatively new to the faith, but he'll go through something that'll put a brother that has been in for X amount of years, for over 10 years, in the right mindset. Like, wow, this guy, he's doing it right. I got to get it right. You know. So it's, we suffer for the elect's sake. We fall, we get back up for the elect's sake, for our fellow brethren. Okay. All right. So we can, you know, uh, reflect off of one another. Okay. And within doing so, we'll make it into the kingdom of heaven. All right. Beautiful precept, brother. I appreciate that. 2 Timothy 3 and 12 in the AMP. Let's go to John 15 and 18. St. John 15 and 18. For the world, excuse me, Salakia, if the world hate you, you know that he hated me before he hated you. If you were of the world would love his own, but because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you. So the Most High has set it up to where these people are going to be enmity towards us because we have the light and they are in darkness, right? So you in your everyday life, and people trying to figure you out, and people just, you at the job, you at the gig, and you know, seemingly people have a disdain towards you, like, damn, why you fucking with me? Always remember this, bro. You got that light. You gonna stand out without trying to stand out, bro. Right? So it's gonna be empty. And then too, as man, it's natural to test another man's nuts and his integrity. Okay, so you gotta keep that in mind. But you have to factor that in. You have to factor that in. That guess what? You have that light, so you're gonna be tested, right? And that test is gonna be amplified in these latter days, especially for the testimony of Yahweh Shah. We had that testimony, so they're gonna be these people are gonna be big mad at us. Okay, all right. Verse 20. Excuse me, I'm gonna read it verse 19 one more time just to make sure I read it. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. See that? So we're chosen out the world, out of the world. The world's gonna have enmity towards us. You know what I'm saying? You can be seen as peculiar because we don't do or we don't speak or we don't act or we don't look the part. And it is what it is. We gotta shit, embellish in there like hell yeah. You know, I'm greater than you. I'm of the word. I'm of Yahweh Shai. I'm not of you. And that mindset got to carry on into even when we dealing with persecution, man. All right. Verse 20. Remember the word that I had said unto you, the servant is no greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my sayings, they will keep your sayings also. That's right. So they're gonna be trying to trip you up with your words. Okay. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. That's right. So the world doesn't know Yahweh Shai. All right. They don't understand that everything that's going on in this world is culminating to him returning, even our persecution. See, the Christians, they're so caught up and hell bent on trying to prove us wrong that they don't prophesy. They don't really touch on, if you notice, brothers, they don't really touch on prophecy. And prophecy is popping off the pages. You got a guy like Trump, they're basically saying that this is a holy war. But yet, Christians, when they don't speak on it. And they say this is a holy war. Right? Pete Hegseth said this is a holy war. Right? But guys like Vocab Alone, his counterparts, K Dub, Rick Cardwell, you know, Alton Johnson, they don't say anything about it, okay? Because they don't have a testimony of Yahweh Shai. And a huge part of the testimony of Yahweh Shai is Babylon the Great going to war and losing that war, brothers. This has to come to pass. Okay? All right. And what Babylon the Great is what, aka America. Okay. All right. Now let's go to um this video of Trump making announcements about military actions in Iran. He's boasting. He is boasting, right? If you listen to this guy, you think, "Oh man, America's kicking ass right now." Well, according to different resource outlets and alternative news, America is actually losing this war, brothers. If America was winning the war, the Straits of Hormuz would be open. Okay, which I did a sit down on this. The closing of the Straits of Hormuz is going to have several financial repercussions for the world, in particular for Babylon. Okay, that oil over there that's being bought and sold in the Straits of Hormuz, which 20% of the world's oil comes from that region, brothers. That's a lot. That oil is bought and sold in American dollar, which is it hits the term coin petrodollar, right? Making an artificial demand for this dollar. Everybody used the American dollar to as the reserve currency to buy and trade oil. Now we know, in the 1970s, during Ronald Reagan, they took the American dollar off of the gold standard. With it being taken off of the gold standard, right? It was uh, prompted by contracts with Saudi Arabia to buy and sell oil with the American dollar, and in turn, we gave Saudi Arabia basically military protection and defense. Well, now being that the Straits of Hormuz is being closed, that artificial demand for the American dollar is beginning to wane. That word wane means to slowly disappear. Okay, all right, and with each day of it being closed, guess what? Oil is not being shipped over here, stuck slowing down production. Right, the American dollar is also dealing with inflation. The word inflation means the purchasing power of a currency decreasing. Right, the price of oil is going up. Right, which is affecting the transportation industry. Dang on, diesel's at five or damn near $5 a gallon here in Texas. Shoot, I checked the pumps today for just gasoline for regular cars. Man, it's at 369 in some places. At QT and stuff like that. This is going to help hurt. This is going to be a trickle down effect to the American people. Okay, so that grinding is ceasing, alluding to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Okay, all right. So America is losing this war, but just got Trump. He's talking like America is just kicking ass and taking names. Well, in this particular scenario, that's not the case. So let's listen to this man speak. Okay.
A nuclear weapon, where they'll look at that man and some other people from the administration. But it's been amazing. The military success that we've had is truly unprecedented.
Exactly.
You said you've told your congressional colleagues that you will not.
Very powerful, very effective in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner.
That's cap. They still got to refine that oil. It's affecting us over here.
Great partner. They've worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time, and we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't.
He's alluded to Russia. So all those sanctions that they got on Russia, they're allowing places like India to buy and trade, buy Russian oil. And also, what he said about China is correct. China gets about 40% of its oil from the Straits of Hormuz. Okay, so they do have incentive to get this open because you know China and America still has a very, a very much so business relationship. Okay,
Won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their.
they hit these people when they were in negotiation with them. Alluding to Iran, they hit them when they was in negotiation with her with Iran. Iran was like kind of flabbergasted, like, "Dad, you just hit me. We were just having, actual, uh, meetings, to, for us to come up with a peaceful solution." So this guy, he's lying, and they're puffing at basically people that they were supposed to be at peace with, man. Okay, and this is going to lead to their destruction. All right, because these guys very much so underestimated. They underestimated Iran, man. All right, Iran, uh, basically has shot down various radars, so America and Israel can't detect certain certain missiles coming in. They're spending way too much money on the defense systems. The defense systems are down in Israel. Okay, and this guy just speaking lawfully because he was able to take out the supreme leader, which the son is ruling now, and also basically the cabinet. And also they were trying to send a message by bombing that school, man. 180 kids were killed. So this is galvanized the Iranians to fortify, to come together, to fight against, Israel and Trump. And Israel is taking a lot of fades, man. And also, the American army is taking a lot of L's too that's not being reported. So this guy's he's speaking so lawfully, but guess what? Alternative media says something different. Okay, let me get this. Because you don't understand. Really, ultimately, this is the will of Heavenly Father that got him in that place. First Samuel 2. I hope this ain't driving y'all crazy. This noise. First Samuel 2 and 3. Talk no more so exceedingly proud, Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth, for Yahweh is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken. And what is that mighty? What is that bow, modern day bow now? Them sword, the missiles, right? And they that stumble are girded with strength. So guess what? The people that were at the bottom, guess what? They're making themselves strong, as it says in Joel the third chapter, which we'll get soon, right? To come up against this place. Okay. So yeah, America seemed like it's that big bad bully. That big bad bully's getting punched in the mouth, brothers. Okay. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry ceased, so that the barren have borne seven, and she that hath many children is waxed feeble. Right, going into how, guess what, the Most High can make a paradigm shift. Those that were on bottom could be on top, and conversely, those that were on top could be at the bottom. Okay, and the Most High is showing this with this war here, man. Okay, so let me give you an alternative to what we just heard. Okay, as far as Trump, I'm going to play for you guys this video here, and the man who's speaking, his name is Larry Johnson, which was an analyst for counterterrorism. This is on Danny Hyphon. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Page. Larry Johnson is a former intelligence analyst at the CIA who also worked at the U.S. State Department Office of Counterterrorism. Okay. So this is the guy speaking right now. And I'm going to let this play, and you're going to hear, according to this gentleman here, and Larry Johnson and other people, Jeffrey Sachs, dang on Scott Ritter, they're all saying that, America's losing, man. Contrary to what Trump is saying. Okay.
Bloomberg is reporting that about half of all of Iran's missile launchers are still intact, and that they're not able to actually destroy these launchers due to where they are located inside of Iran. There's also, of course, the reports that CENTCOM have now acknowledged of the downed KC-135 refueling tanker over Iraq. Another one successfully landed, I believe, off the Mediterranean in Israel. Reports of the USS Gerald Ford undergoing mysterious fires on board. And then the USS Lincoln, according to Iran, has retreated because of damage it sustained in a confrontation.
These various warships and tankers. Tankers used to basically fuel. Okay. Matter of fact, because I don't know what is a tanker in Navy used for. Let's look it up. In the U.S. Navy, a tanker, also called an oiler or replenishment oiler, is a specialized ship designed to transport and store liquid fuel in bulk so they can be delivered to other Navy vessels at sea or on shore. You see that? So these tankers are getting set down. Okay, these warships set down. They're being sank. Contrary to what Trump is saying. Trump is saying, oh yeah, the Navy's, underwater and things of that nature. Nah, it's actually the other way around. Okay.
With a small Iranian vessel. Now that there's even reports the U.S. is going to send 2,500 to 5,000 Marines into deployment in the Middle East to sensibly escalate this war.
The U.S. is like the drowning man off the Titanic, trying to find something to grab hold on to stay afloat. And even if you stay afloat, He's still going to freeze to death in the water. The United States has started a war that it cannot win because
Y'all hear what he said? America done started a war it can't finish because logistically it's set up to fight a a very quick war that was supposed to end in a week or so, or weeks. Versus, you have Iran that they've been planning for this particular situation for years, man. So Iran is playing the long haul versus America, thinking they just come in, just keep the door down and shoot the shotgun, shoot everybody up. Right? It didn't register to them that, these people got, what I'm saying, certain things set in place for that shotgun, for lack of a better term. All right. So America's in a shootout and they don't have enough ammo. You keep on hearing, if you guys been paying attention, watching various videos on this, these analysts are saying, well, this is a battle of attrition. That word attrition is basically going into ammo. Okay. Let's look it up. Look it up for y'all, man. Hopefully I can spell the thing on. Trish. Yeah, attrition. Attrition. The action or process of gradually reducing the strength or effectiveness for someone or something through sustained attack or pressure. Right? So this is a battle of attrition. This is a battle of who can sustain, offense and defense. This is a long haul fight, man. And America didn't prepare for this. America didn't bring enough ammo in that Pacific Ocean. Okay, play this for you guys.
ultimately to win and take control of this situation, you'd need troops on the ground, except you're going to need about 4 million troops, maybe 3 million you could get away with. And that 3 million would suffer catastrophic losses in trying to take control of Iran. But, let's start with the lie being told to the American public that this KC-135 is an air refueler, that it crashed. Explain to me how it crashed. Normally, when perfect, unless there was a catastrophic mechanical failure, which is which I know is that.
I'm sorry, I gotta look this up for you. I gotta see. You see KC 135 crash. I don't know if I'm saying. I ain't heard this being right. All right. Oh, KC 135 crash in Western Iraq. 6 airmen killed. A U.S. Air Force KC 135 strato tanker. So that's a airplane that basically gives oil in air. All right, it was shot down, crashed in western Iraq, March 12, 2026, during Operation Epic Fury, the U.S.-led campaign with Israel against Iran. The incident occurred while the aircraft was on a combat mission over friendly airspace. So they say, "Oh, it just crashed." And he's like, "Nah, we got to take a look at this, right?" Because right here it says the cause is confirmed not due to hostile or friendly fire. The circumstances on an investigation. They say, "Oh, it's just on an investigation that it crashed." Versus this, Larry Johnson, he's saying, "Nah, we gotta take a look at this. It ain't just fall out the sky. Something happened. It was shot down, bro." So America's being dishonest on how much it's how many casualties that it's taking. Okay.
Didn't happen. I mean, I know what happened. It got shot down. But let's go with the Pentagon story. Oh, it was they crashed. Okay, normally you crash on takeoff. That's one of the most dangerous times because an engine gives out or cargo shifts. Or you crash on landing. Again, something mechanical goes wrong. Or there's such terrible weather. You're caught in a sandstorm, and but none of that happened. This plane was not in bad weather. So how does a plane go from flying at 25,000 feet or 20,000 feet and then suddenly crash into the desert? How does that work? The way it works is it was shot down. Okay, so the Pentagon's lying about that because they don't want these casualty numbers to go up to reflect what's actually going on. And we got a hint last week about the nature of the casualties when a week ago, Wednesday, on the 4th of March, there was a memo released at the Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany. Landstuhl is the hospital that's the primary stopping place for wounded soldiers from combat situations, where they're first sent to stabilize them until they can then get them on a plane and headed back to Walter Reed in Bethesda, Maryland. And I knew Walter Reed well. I lived actually 4 or 5 blocks north of Walter Reed on West Virginia Avenue. So what we saw a week ago, Wednesday on the 4th, Landstuhl put out a memo saying, "Hey, all you pregnant ladies who are thinking about coming here to have a baby, think again. You're not going to get to come here. We're shutting down the maternity services because we got to get focused on our primary mission." They didn't write in there that the primary mission is dealing with combat casualties, but that is their primary mission. Same day, next day, in the Stars and Stripe version of the newspaper issued over there, 16 miles east of Landstuhl is another U.S. military base called Kaiserslautern. And Kaiserslautern put out an appeal for, hey, we need some blood donors, like quick, emergency. So that right away told you that there were more than just a few casualties flowing in to.
So these medical bases in Germany, they're asking people to donate blood, in an emergency. And they're not statewide. And the reason why is people are getting shot down, man. Okay, people are losing limbs. People are getting unalived out there. Okay, so this guy Trump, he's speaking arrogantly, but here is show. According to alternative media outlets, it's far from true. America's losing this war, brothers. Okay, and this is a process in which America is going to be taken down. All right, this could very well be, what we're looking for. As far as World War III ruling, and it seems like we're here. Okay, now this is Jeremiah 4:49 and 14. I have heard a rumor from Yahweh. And ambassador unto the heathen, saying, gather ye together and come against her and rise up to the battle. And this is what we're seeing. They're rising up against this place in battle. Even China seems like they're somewhat bucking up against America. We're gonna speak on that soon. All right. Verse 15, for lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. And how arrogant, Trump is speaking, he's making himself, small amongst the heathen, and also the actions of this place, bro. You gotta think, man, America, basically kidnapped, this is all in this year, kidnapped within a year span, kidnapped a government, a president, in Venezuela, blockaded, you know, Cuba from being able to, get access to oil, which caused, an energy crisis over there, blackouts. People are starving out there, funding a war in Israel with the whole bombing of Gaza. Hundreds of thousands of children over there, starving. America aiding that, bombing kids indiscriminately, bombing hospitals, and you got pieces of shit like Ben Shapiro, are saying, "Oh, well, the Hezbollah's headquarters right underneath the hospital, so we had to bomb it. We had to, fucking piece of shit. Here recently, the bombing of a school, a children's school. So people are looking at this. You other nations are looking at this, and they're like, "Wow, these motherfuckers are demonic. These are some real pieces of shit. They're being made despised among man, I kill, and this is going to cause them to do what? Uh, to have to go into war, and they're going to lose this war, man. Okay, verse 16. Thy terribleness has deceived thee, right? That military might has deceived this place, man. And the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill, though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as an eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, said Yahweh. That's right. So guess what? Most High is gonna bring you Edomites down, you so-called white people down. Okay, for your height. Okay, all right. You set yourself on high with colonialism, imperialism, strip people of their natural resources. Hey, we just seen colonialism in real time in Venezuela, taking the natural resources, man. Right, sanctioning them, totally toppling that government. Okay, the Most High sees this. These other nations see this, man. And the Most High is gonna move on you. He's gonna put these nations up, spill the other nations to come up against this place, and we're seeing it live in 3D. Okay. Verse 17, also Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished and shall hiss at, at all the plagues therein. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, said Yahweh, no man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. That's right. So Babylon the Great is going to be totally inhabited. That's another way in which we can, link Edom with Babylon the Great, right? Because it speaks about this in Isaiah the 13th chapter. Okay, behold, he shall come up from a line from the swelling of Jordan against the inhabitation of the strong, but I will suddenly make him run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time, and who is that shepherd that shall stand before me? So the Most High is going to do what he wants to do. Okay, and he has it ordained to where this place is going to be destroyed. Verse 20, therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes, that he hath purpose against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their inhabitants desolate with them. And who is the least of the flock? Least of the flock, the Edom? The small hatters. The small hatters is leading Edom, Esau, Edom to what? To its destruction. Okay. So yeah, Esau Edom has all these plans, to set up his MOTB system, to set up the Greater Israel Project, but it's going to come to naught. Okay. Psalm 79 and 6. Pour out the wrath against the heathen that hath not known thee, and upon the kingdoms that have not called upon thy name. For they that have devoured Jacob, for they have slacked, for they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his dwelling places, his dwelling place. Right? So the Most High is going to pour out the wrath on the heathens for destroying us. And we're seeing that being forementioned right before our eyes. Oh, remember now against us, remember not against us former iniquities. Let thy tender mercies speedily prevent us, for we are brought very low. And we're brought very low. We've been brought very low here. We've been reducing niggas and bitches here, man. With a laughing stock, right? Spics and Mexican and all that shit. We've been brought low, bro. People look at us in disdain. You Latinos, you natives, and you so-called Negroes. People look at us in disgust. We've been brought low. We look at each other in disdain. Jake hates each other, whether it be the Latin tribes or the other Southern tribes. There's certain neighborhoods that the Latin tribes can't go to, right? El Salvadorians beef against, so-called Mexicans. That's what MS-13 was formulating. The whole gang culture runs rampant, right? Baby mamas, baby daddies, Sanchez, all that wickedness, man. It's seen within us. All right, so we need the Most High to bring us back and forgive our sins. He's going to do that for the elect's sake. That's what we're waiting on. We're waiting within him coming back. He's going to repay our enemies, Esau, Edom, man, for all the wickedness he's done to us. This is a kingdom that has not called on Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. It has brought us very low. Okay. Verse 9, help us, O power of our salvation, for the glory of thy name, and deliver us and purge away our sins for the name's sake, for thy name's sake. Wherefore should the heathen say, where is their God? Let him be known among the heathen in our sight by the revenging of the blood of thy servants, which is shed. Let the sign of the prisoner come before thee according to the greatness of thy power. Preserve thou those that are appointed to die, which is us. We are appointed, the nations are appointed to die because we broke the law, such commandments. Right? And the Most High has put us into a severe captivity on this man's, under this man's rulership. But you know what though? The Most High is gonna set us right, man. But in doing so, all these things have to come into fruition. All right. The least of the flock has to draw them out, and it seems like that's what's going on. Israel was the spearhead, is spearheading this campaign against Iran, right? And it's for the Greater Israel Project, right? Basically recovering land that was promised to us in Genesis the 15th chapter. Okay, right? And that lets you know that guess what? This is not of the Heavenly Father, because in order for us to be set back in our land, guess what? The Son has to return, right? That he's gonna set up the government of Yahweh, by Shem Yahushua. But he's gonna set up the basically the throne of King David, alluding to Isaiah 9 and we could say 6. Okay. All right. But within him trying to set up, his empire, his carnal empire, guess what? He's going to ignite these heathens to rage, right? And these kingdoms are going to fight one against another, to to our benefit. So these heathens, they got all these planes and things that nature's gonna come to naught. All right. Now, a huge part or a very integral part of you know America and its ability to war over there, you know, in that region, in that area in the Pacific is basically China and its non-involvement. Okay, because if China gets involved, right, or begins to attack Taiwan, that's going to greatly affect the artillery stockage or supply in that area. And lo and behold, guess what? China seems like it's about to attack Taiwan. Okay. And this is going to have a great effect again on the war in Iran. Plays for you guys.
China's military activity around Taiwan is ramping up again. After nearly 2 weeks of unusual calm, Chinese warplanes have suddenly returned to the skies near the island. It comes just days ahead of a possible visit to China by US President Donald Trump. China has been steadily increasing military pressure on Taiwan for years, but when activity suddenly drops and then surges again like this, analysts start looking for signals. So what exactly is China trying to do here? Is the situation in the Taiwan Strait starting to escalate? We spoke to Professor Alessio Patalano to find out.
This is a significant exercise, part because it's one of the major exercises in the yearly planning of the PLA. And partly because, like most of the other major exercises, it is designed to give a sense of what are the type of military operations that the Chinese are looking at as like the operation that might see them being asked to conduct. And this is about very much some type of larger scale military activity designed to ensure air superiority across the straits, and then from there enable other military operations. So it is significant, although it is not out of the ordinary in the sense of the type of exercises that usually during this period of time the Chinese would put in place. This is not particularly larger or smaller. It's perfectly aligned with the type of activity that one would expect the PLA to put in place. The PLA flies regular missions for at least 3 different reasons. One is,
so there he's saying, it's not unusual to have these these war games around this time, but it's significant because of it's significant because of the war in Iran. It's like, damn, y'all doing this now, and China and Taiwan has been warned since the revolution that happened in China. I want to say in the 1960s. You had Taiwan break off because they was a part of China. China has always said, Taiwan is a part of China, versus Taiwan says, no, we doing our own thing. And Taiwan, is heavily dependent on its alliance with America. Okay, so this could have military and economic repercussions for America. Now, I typed this in chat. I said, how would an invasion of Taiwan by China affect the Iranian war? A Chinese invasion of Taiwan would strongly affect any U.S.-Iran war, even though the conflicts are in different regions. The biggest impact would be how it stretches U.S. military, economic, and political resources. Here are the main ways the two conflicts would interact. The United States would be forced to split its military focus. If China invaded Taiwan, the U.S. would likely shift massive naval and air power to the Pacific. That means aircraft carriers, submarines, and air wings move towards Taiwan in the South Chinese Sea. Fewer assets remain available in the Middle East. The U.S. might avoid escalating the Iran, escalating with Iran at the same time. Result: Iran could gain strategic breathing room because America would be prioritizing China. Right, so this could possibly make America have to focus in on China, in that situation versus focusing on, Iran. Okay. Iran could take advantage of the distraction. If the U.S. is busy with China, Iran might increase pressure on the U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria, harass shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, which that's already happening. America is not, you know, escorting ships in the Strait of Hormuz yet. They start doing that, they can be sitting ducks. Okay. Support proxy attacks the groups in Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, and Syria escalate its nuclear program. Iran's strategy would likely be limited escalation and not total war to exploit U.S. distraction. Well, it's already in a total war. Okay. China might quietly support Iran, which is more than likely this is already going on. China already has major economic ties with Iran. If China were fighting over Taiwan, it might buy Iranian oil to keep Iran economically stable. Help Iran evade sanctions, provide techno- technology or intelligence indirectly. China likely wouldn't openly join Iran's war, but it could quietly strengthen Iran's position to keep the U.S. tied down. Global energy and trade chaos. Both regions are critical uh, global checkpoints. Taiwan Strait, master share of global shipping and semiconductors. Strait of Hormuz, about 20% of the world's oil supply. So this is how there's a strait in Hormuz. There's a Taiwan Strait, right? That could deeply affect shipping if they were to, attack. If China was to attack Taiwan. Okay, all right. So this could have some major repercussions worldwide. Okay, and these are some few things that could basically happen if this war with China and Taiwan pops off. And it's funny is I've been keeping up with this, and I was wondering, this is how this was going to play out because I forget who said this. They were saying like that the new world war is not going to be necessarily all nations in one particular place. Although that's contrary to what the scriptures say, because it's talking about the valley of Jehoshaphat, how judgment's going to be there. Well, he was making an argument that you know um, World War III is going to be seen in fighting, in different regions, and seemingly that's what's going on. You got the Ukraine Russian war going on. You got Pakistan and Afghanistan getting it on. You got Iran, you know, well, I should say Israel starting off fighting they're in a forefront war against these proxy armies in Lebanon and Yemen, saying Gaza, saying now, out war and all out war with Iran, which all these I just named, um, or several proxy armies in name are funded by Iran. So it's like a lot of skirmishes going on all at once. It's going to lead to that Valley of Jehoshaphat, scenario, man. Okay. So we're definitely living in some very, interesting times. You have China that, has all these plans, because they taking on the ways of Esau and Edom, but, that's going to come to naught, man. Because China is a a forerunner in the excuse me, brothers, the AI, basically the AI technological advancements. You know what I'm saying? They're like the model, you know, of you know, of that system, you know, that's gonna come to naught. Isaiah, excuse me, Second Esdras 15:46. And thou, and thou Asia, thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her presence. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her. Right? You know, uh, China is taking on basically, you know, capitalism, which is a part of the image of the beast. Within them taking on that, you know, capitalism, you know, taking on the philosophy of, you know, Babylon the Great. But it's gonna come to naught. Okay. Still in verse 46, and thou, Asia, thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, excuse me, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Okay, so guess what? You know, they're going to be destroyed because they have assimilated to the Western way. Okay, thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore said Yahweh, or the Most High, I will send plagues unto thee, widow, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. That's right. So the Most High is going to waste Asia with poverty, with famine, sword, which is the gun, and pestilence. So we know that guess what? It's very plausible that, you know, war is going to spread to that region also, into Asia, because of its, you know, because of them laying down, you know, with Babylon the Great, you know, with them assimilating to the ways of Esau, Edom. Okay, this is going to lead to their detriment. This is going to lead to their destruction. All right. So I had a couple more things I wanted to show, but I didn't want to be too lengthy, so where it's not edifying. I'm gonna end it right there. Pray you all, you know, will edify with this particular sit down. I'm gonna give all praise to my heavenly Father's name is Yahweh by Yeshua Yahweh Shai by Yeshua Kakadash. Divine to the apostles and elders every well and peace and many salutations to Yakim told in his troop Shalom.